Style is primarily a matter of instinct.
And depending on your instincts, you either see this as the pinnacle of American luxury cars, or as a garish, lackluster behemoth. And perhaps it is both. But one thing this 1979 Lincoln Continental Mark V Bill Blass Designer Edition is definitely not is subtle. If you watched our Lincoln Mark VII video, you know this story has two timelines. This one begins with Ford Vice President Lee Iacocca directing development of the 1969 Continental Mark III. Based off the Ford Thunderbird, the Mark III launched into a quickly growing segment, the personal luxury car. The concept was simple: share mechanical components with lower-priced models, but slather on a thick layer of luxury and charge a big price. The 1972 Mark IV built on that success and reintroduced the world to opera windows. These tiny portholes mimicked cars from the 1920s and soon became the rage across the industry. To stand out in the increasingly crowded field, Lincoln introduced the 1976 Designer Series, with colors and materials picked by famous design firms. European names Pucci, Cartier, and Givenchy adorned the cars. Also featured was a lone American designer, Bill Blass. Blass's life reads like the quintessential American success story. He grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana during the Great Depression. As a child, he would often go to the movies and dream about one day making fancy clothes for the rich and famous people like those he saw on screen. At age 15, he sold his first dress. At age 17, he joined the Parsons School of Design in Manhattan. After serving in World War II, he returned to New York and in 1970 bought a design firm, renaming it Bill Blass Limited. His clothes made him famous, but his licensing deals made him rich. Blass got paid to put his name on everything from luggage to furniture to perfume, and of course, cars. For 1977, Lincoln planned a new Continental Mark V. Based on a previously rejected styling proposal, its sharp lines replaced the aging Mark IV. From 77 to this 1979 model, the exterior remained mostly identical, and it is a sight to behold in person. It's long and large, but most noticeably, low. At 4.5 feet, the roofline only comes up to my chest. But at 19 feet long, the body stretches past a modern Lincoln Navigator. The entire Mark V looks imposing, starting with the waterfall grille that towers over the huge bumper, followed by an utterly massive hood. For a car with the aerodynamics of a buffet table, it still manages to look swift, with an aggressively sloped C-pillar and a rear end that seems to urge the whole vehicle forward. And of course, those C-pillars have opera windows. But Bill Blass models also offered a carriage roof that, in appearance at least, mimicked a convertible top. For 1979, the Bill Blass edition had two-tone, white and midnight blue metallic paint. Like a canvas sail against the water, the contrasting colors make the car pop. This, combined with gold stripes and stylized logos, make the expression land yacht seem almost literal. There's a bounty of special touches like concealed headlights, cornering lamps, a hood ornament, turbine wheels, a personal favorite, and of course, the spare tire hump with Continental lettering stretched across the arc. Some call it tacky, but it's also iconic. Like a true luxury car, the Mark V featured an overwhelming amount of trim, color, and appearance options, including the insanely expensive 1978 Diamond Jubilee edition. celebrating Ford Motor Company's 75th anniversary. But in my opinion, the 1979 Bill Blass looks the best. It's clean, crisp, and classy. Blass also helped design the interior, which continues the nautical theme with gorgeous white leather and blue accents. You sink way down into the thickly padded seats, making the Mark V far easier to get into than get out of. Thanks to the gargantuan doors, rear seat access is easy, although I found the amount of room insultingly small given this car's prodigious overall size. But it's how the car treats the driver that really matters, and the Mark V pampers you with the best the era could offer. Power seats, windows, and locks, power sunroof, automatic headlights, cruise control, analog clock, CB radio, quadraphonic 8-track player, and instead of a shrill seatbelt warning buzzer, there's a gentle chime. Inside and out, all these little things work together to remind the driver that this car is something special. Just don't look too closely, or you'll notice it has the same steering wheel as a Ford pickup truck. But as said before, most personal luxury cars share parts with their lower-cost siblings, and the Mark V platform traces its roots back to the 1972 Ford Thunderbird, which means it has a Ford 3-speed automatic and a big old Ford V8 under the hood. Or more accurately, a slightly less big old Ford V8. Earlier Mark Vs offered either a 400 or 460 cubic inch engine, but in the interest of efficiency, the 1979 models only offered the 400. At 6.6 liters, it's still enormous, but with only 166 horsepower, it looks laughably weak on paper. However, when I actually drove the car, it felt adequate. Clearly, numbers can't tell the whole story.
It's a common complaint that these late 70s cars are gutless because of their emissions-choked, low-compression engines. But the thing is, if you put the pedal to the floor, this thing will hustle. And my question is to all those critics out there, just how fast do you need a 2-ton luxury barge to go?
More accurately, 2 1/4 tons, but I found the car's size more cumbersome than its weight. The hood stretches out for what seems like miles in front of you, making it difficult to see the road's edge during a turn. The power steering offers no feedback, body roll is excessive, and all the interior vinyl creaks and vibrates as the chassis flexes. But straighten things out and lay into the gas, and this car shows its true strength. All that sound insulation and road-hugging weight make this car a wonderful boulevard cruiser.
The Continental Mark V is literally like a magic carpet ride. I can't believe how comfortable this is. And I don't care that it's soft and that it wallows and that there's body roll and all that, because it's not supposed to be a performance car.
We call modern luxury cars driver-focused, but that assumes most drivers want to focus on performance. Personal luxury cars were driver-focused in that the ultimate goal was to comfort the driver and isolate them from the harshness of the outside world. Few cars are better at this than the Mark V. But Ford sensed that harsh world was changing in the late 70s. GM had already downsized the Cadillac Eldorado, and the industry as a whole faced a very uncertain future. Gas prices and environmental regulations would no longer permit automotive excess like the Mark V. 1979 would be its final year. The downsized Mark VI tried to capture the spirit of its predecessor, but even with a 41% increase in fuel economy, it couldn't replicate the Mark V's success. The Lincoln-Bill Blass relationship ended after 1992, and Blass sold his design company in the year 2000. Unfortunately, it fell apart after he left, changing hands multiple times, and losing prestige without its glamorous leader. But the Mark V did not fall away into obscurity with declining sales numbers. Buyers recognized their last chance to own a car like this and made it the best-selling Mark of all time. Like a socially astute party guest, it left us on a high note. Today, personal luxury cars do not get much respect. It's almost like we're embarrassed by this period of automotive history, but are we really much better now? Aren't modern floating roof lines just as tacky as opera windows? We've simply traded CB radios and miles to empty readouts for ambient lighting and digital gauge clusters. And while engine technology has certainly improved, people still love oversized, inefficient vehicles. At its worst, the personal luxury car is a triumph of style over substance. But at its best, it's more than the sum of its mass-produced parts. It's a way to treat the driver to something special, to surround them in a soft cocoon of luxury that makes them feel rich. And driving this car, I felt it. That's the secret of personal luxury cars. They're not only for the rich, they're also for regular people who want to feel rich. This democratization of luxury is such an American idea, like the story of a boy from the humble Midwest who became Manhattan's best-known fashion designer. This 1979 Lincoln Continental Mark V Bill Blass Designer Edition embodies the spirit of its namesake. And if others don't understand its appeal, then I'm afraid there's no convincing them. After all, like Bill Blass said, style is primarily a matter of instinct. A small note. Technically, Continental was a sub-brand of Ford's Lincoln Mercury division, consisting only of the Mark Series coupes. And the Lincoln Continental was a separate product under the Lincoln brand. To further confuse things, both cars were sold at the same dealers and used similar design cues. However, the majority of people call these cars the Lincoln Continental Mark Series, so we did too. We know there's a lot of car videos on the internet, so we thank you for watching AutoMoments. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends. And don't forget to check out our other videos. Thanks for watching.